Sheldon has an IQ of 187, and he still needed a waitress from Nebraska to explain how human beings work. For 12 seasons, The Big Bang Theory told you Penny was the dumb one, didn't know physics, didn't know Middle Earth, didn't belong in that apartment full of diplomas. But go back and actually watch what she does instead of what the jokes say about her, and something's seriously off. Because every single time these four so-called geniuses are about to wreck their own lives, she's the one who stops it. Okay, so first, let's set the table. When Penny moves in across the hall in season 1, the show wastes no time telling you exactly what kind of person she is. Small town girl from Nebraska, community college dropout, came to LA to be an actress, ended up waiting tables at the Cheesecake Factory instead. Meanwhile, Leonard and Sheldon both have physics PhDs from Princeton. Howard's got a master's from MIT, Raj has a PhD in astrophysics. On paper, it's not close. It's 4 rocket scientists and a girl who thinks Middle Earth is a place people go camping. And the show leans into that gap hard for laughs. Penny not knowing what a boson is. Penny confusing Zoloft and asteroid. Penny genuinely thinking Sheldon invented Twitter because he mentioned tweets about physics. It's a good bit, honestly. It's why a lot of people fell in love with the show in the first place. Smart nerds, ditzy hot girl next door. Comedy writes itself. But here's the thing nobody talks about. None of that is actually a measure of intelligence. Not knowing the difference between a quark and a quasar doesn't mean you're not smart. It means nobody ever sat you down and taught you particle physics. That's a knowledge gap, not an IQ gap. And the show, whether it meant to or not, spends the next 11 seasons quietly proving that distinction matters a lot more than anyone in that apartment realized. So let's actually break down what dumb meant on this show, because it's almost always trivia. Comic books, string theory, Klingon, Star Wars lore. Stuff you either grew up nerding out over or you didn't. That's it. That's basically the entire category the writers used to make Penny the dumb one. Now flip it. How many times does the show put Sheldon in a situation that has nothing to do with physics? Like, say, doing his own laundry, handling a breakup, understanding sarcasm, ordering food without a full-blown negotiation, and he's a complete disaster. Constantly. The man needs a literal seating chart explained to him multiple times across multiple seasons. He doesn't understand that friendship requires effort. He can calculate the trajectory of a hypothetical particle collision, but can't figure out that maybe don't tell your girlfriend her sister's death anniversary is statistically not that significant. That's the trade the show makes without ever admitting it. It swaps book smart for smart, full stop, and lets 4 men who are functionally helpless outside their lane get labeled geniuses, while a woman who can read a room, defuse a fight, and hold down a job gets labeled the ditz. It's a genuinely clever bit of misdirection when you notice it. The joke was never about intelligence. It was about which kind of intelligence the show decided counted. Here's where it gets good though, because once you start looking for it, you cannot unsee how often Penny is the only adult in the room emotionally. Think about how many times Sheldon has a full-blown meltdown, losing his spot on the couch, a change to his routine, some social situation he can't parse. And it's Penny who talks him down, not Leonard, who's known him for years and has a PhD in the same field. Penny, a woman who met him a few months prior and doesn't understand 90% of what he's talking about. She doesn't need to understand the physics to understand the person. She just watches him, figures out what he actually needs underneath the tantrum, and gives it to him. And it's not just Sheldon. She's the one who clocks that Howard's constant bragging and womanizing is a mask for insecurity about living with his mother into his 30s. She's the one who tells Amy, flat out, that she needs to loosen up and actually live a little, and ends up becoming the person who teaches Amy how to have real friendships. Which, by the way, ends up mattering more to Amy's arc than anything her actual neuroscience degree does. She's the one who sees through Raj's inability to talk to women way before the show ever gives him a real diagnosis for it. Take Penny out of the equation for a second, hypothetically, obviously don't actually do that to yourself, and ask what happens to this friend group. Sheldon doesn't grow at all, full stop. It's Penny's presence, her patience, her willingness to just tell him he's being ridiculous without flinching, that starts chipping away at his walls long before Amy comes into the picture. Howard doesn't mature out of the sleazy guy routine without Penny calling him out on it directly, repeatedly, and without sugarcoating it. Amy doesn't become someone capable of real intimacy and friendship without Penny basically adopting her and showing her what actual girl talk and vulnerability look like. Even Leonard, the guy she eventually marries, needed her to be the stable, decisive one in that relationship more times than the show probably intended to admit. She's not just the hot one or the normal one. She's the social operating system the entire group runs on. Every one of these men is functionally better because she's in the room, and the show demonstrates this constantly through the actual plot, even while the jokes keep insisting she's the outsider who doesn't get it. credit. She gets it more than any of them. She's just the only one not getting credit for it. Now here's the part that I think actually seals the argument, and it's not emotional intelligence. It's just raw fact. Look at where everybody else in this friend group started. Leonard grew up with money and an academic family, even if that family was cold as hell. Howard lived with his mother into his 30s and had zero real-world independence until frankly embarrassingly late in life. The show makes this a running joke for years. Raj comes from serious wealth back in India. His dad is a gynecologist with enough money that Raj barely needs a real income at all for most of the show's run. These are men who, in different ways, had a net under them the entire time. Family money, family name, an institution backing them up. Penny had none of that. She left Nebraska with basically nothing, chasing an acting career that, let's be honest, never took off. She spent years waiting tables to survive while pursuing that dream, watched it not pan out, and instead of falling apart or running home, she pivoted, completely reinvented her career path in her 30s with no safety net, no family money, no institutional backing, and ends up landing a job in pharmaceutical sales that, by the show's own numbers, pays more than Leonard's physics salary. Now look, I know what some of you are thinking. Fine, she's got emotional intelligence? Fine, she's resourceful, but she still doesn't know what dark matter is. She still can't follow a basic physics conversation 9 seasons in. The show never actually lets her catch up academically, and honestly, it kind of keeps making fun of her for it right up to the finale. That's fair. I'm not going to sit here and pretend the show suddenly turns her into a secret astrophysicist by the end. It doesn't, and honestly, it doesn't need to. The point isn't that Penny was quietly a genius in the same category as Sheldon and just hiding it. The point is that the show spent 12 years operating on the assumption that this specific kind of smart, trivia, textbook knowledge, IQ test performance, is the only kind that counts, and then kept accidentally proving, plot point after plot point, that it isn't. Every crisis in that apartment that actually threatened to blow up the friend group for good got solved by Penny's read on people, not by anyone's understanding of quantum mechanics. And honestly, the finale kinda hands you the whole argument on a silver platter, whether the writers meant to or not. By the time the show wraps up, Penny's not just surviving in that friend group anymore. She's thriving in a career she built herself, married to Leonard, financially stable, and functionally the emotional center of a friend group that includes a Nobel Prize winner. A Nobel Prize winner who, again, needed her more than she ever needed him to become the person capable of winning that prize in the first place. That's the twist nobody frames it as, but it's right there in the text. Sheldon doesn't win the Nobel Prize because he got smarter. He wins it because he finally became someone capable of collaborating, someone capable of accepting help, someone capable of functioning in a relationship. All things Penny spent years modeling for him, patiently, without ever once getting a diploma for it. If you agree, or if you think I'm giving her way too much credit here, let me know down in the comments. I actually want to hear it. And if you liked this one, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so that you will never miss any videos from us.